Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Karma here. Today I'm going to be discussing Boruto Chapter 25 and the anime comparison Boruto Episode 189. I really can't preface enough that that's just insane that canon chapters in the manga are up to 25 and we're at Episode 189. Alright, but honestly I don't want to harp too much on the bad stuff because this was the best episode of the anime, hands down. The animation was so fluid. The story finally got something. You know, the karma, we actually learned something about it. Kara was there to see it. So many things happened. There was some violence back. Like, everything was going on in this episode. And they changed to the manga art style, so Boruto lost the thing in his hair. Konohamaru had his afro back, which was great, because I just mentioned that last episode. So, I'm really excited to talk about this episode, which is shocking because usually I don't want to talk about the Boruto episodes at all, and I would much rather talk about the manga. Important fact for you now, if you are just an anime-only watcher, I'm not going to spoil anything in the manga. I'm up to date on it with the current chapter, but this video is not going to contain any spoilers. Everything discussed here will be about previous chapters and episodes or current stuff, so nothing will be spoiled. If you don't want to be spoiled, no worries. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. So, what I do in the Karma Cut is discuss the differences between the anime and the manga, whether it's just the art they decided to do, the style of like the framing and stuff like that, or just the story itself. So mostly it ends up in the story, but in some particular things, like later on in this video we'll be talking about the Kawaki panel when he activates the karma. Because they drew it a different way in the anime, everything else was so spot on that they were like, we'll do it this way instead. But either way, we'll jump into it, I guess. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and if you do enjoy these and you want to see more, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try to keep these up every week. There's a canon episode. Most likely won't be doing anything for the filler episodes, because then it's just a review. And there's probably millions of reviews out there of the Boruto episodes, so... And they're probably not going to be too positive, so we'll stick with just the comparisons between the two. Alright, we'll jump into it. So, the episode itself starts off with a bit of a recap from last episode showing Kawaki jumping up the cliff to attack Garo, and Mitsuki's like, he's so fast. And I love that because Mitsuki is the fastest character there, so for him to say it, they're really hyping up Kawaki like this guy can move. And it's great because Garo is saying through the whole entire episode that Kawaki's really not fighting at full strength and he seems weak and he seems out of it. So the Leaf's looking at him going, God, this guy is so fast and he's so powerful. And Kara's looking at him going like, what's wrong with Kawaki? Why isn't he fighting at full strength? Where he must still be worn out. And in Garo's perspective, he's like, great, I'm going to beat the crap out of him. It goes to the opening. Again, if you guys didn't watch my previous episode, I'm going to recommend to not watch the Boruto openings. I was thinking actually about doing a video talking about the Easter eggs in the Boruto openings, but the last 3 or 4 Boruto openings have tons and tons of spoilers in them. You can kind of see what they are if you look closely, and you can kind of guess, but some of them are big. Some of them are really, really big. I won't talk about that too much here, obviously, because I said I wouldn't. So let's just get into this. Obviously, the thing I'd like to talk about the most for this episode is the art style. They switched to the manga art style. This episode looked beautiful. I would show this episode to anybody. Truthfully, I showed my girlfriend this episode because she had seen me watch a few other previous Boruto episodes. And I'm pretty sure she thought she was looking at a different show or like movie quality production compared to what it's been. Boruto's been so inconsistent. And there's been so many scenes where the background looks like they drew it in 2 seconds. And, like, the animation could be stiff and bad, but you could definitely overlook that if the background feels, like, lived in. But I can't remember what episode it was exactly, but it's where Shikadai's team fights Deepa. Go back and watch that episode if you're a fan of the anime. You know what? I don't mean it that way. Like, you know, you could enjoy the anime, and I think it's good that you enjoy it because it's something you like. And I enjoy the manga a lot, and, you know, this episode got me, and there's been a few episodes for the Boruto anime that get me, but I can't watch all of them. I try my best, but some of them it's just they skip on too much, and they're just like, that'll do it. No problem. But yeah, so then Kawaki obviously pulls out reactivates the karma, which creates like this like scythe arm. Obviously we don't know what's too much happening because we're seeing it for the first time here. It's like brown and like glowing, which is really interesting because in the manga it's drawn the same color as like Kawaki's skin. I know obviously in the manga it's just black and white and gray, but if it was going to be like that, it would have been like a darker color. It seems like a flesh color in the manga. I mean, I'm pretty sure this chapter would have come out several years ago at this point. So it's very interesting that they decided for the anime to go with this like dark, glowy, like rock color for the karma like growth on his arm. It really reminds me of Momoshiki's like golem that he makes. Because he makes this like rock golem when he's fighting Naruto and Sasuke in the episode everybody knows about. Because it's also from the movie. But the karma that Kawaki gets on his arm really looks just like that. So it interests me if maybe that's a similar thing. But the fact that it's not flesh colored really threw me off. But I love what they did with it in this episode. You can see that Kawaki can use it in so many different ways, whether it's making like a sword, or making something to punch with, or making stuff to throw, and then he turns it into skates and he's skating across. That's not in the manga where he skates on the karma, but that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool extra thing there. I'm not against it. I'm sure the anime will use it more since they did it in this one. But I like the versatile add-ons from there, and that was cool. So the first few panels of this chapter are the fight between Garo and Kawaki, which is pretty much going to be, you know, step by step. The anime obviously took some liberties because you can't put 5 panels for a fight and go, that's it, that's going to take up 5 minutes. But the animation they did for the fight between Garo and Kawaki was incredible. The next thing that we see that's going to, you know, match up with the manga is when Garo says, you know, out of breath already to Kawaki. There's some dialogue that actually happens with Boruto and Katasuke before that, where they talk about their bodies. And it looks like in the anime they went ahead and cut that out. And I'm assuming they did that because later on they're going to talk about Kawaki's body and Garo's body and stuff like that. So I guess it was really like an unnecessary scene. But truthfully, I think the reason it's in the manga and not in the anime is because in the manga they don't know as much as the anime watchers know right now. So, for example, in this episode, Katasuke talks about the guy who would have done this and like he's a genius, and then Mitsuki asked him if he could recreate it, or I think it was Boruto, sorry, who asked him if he could recreate it, and he was like, that's impossible, there's no way I could do this. And we know from watching the anime that Amato is the guy who did it because he actually has a talk with Code and Delta, and even Boro shows up for a second to just run away, but he's talking about it, he wants to make modifications to them. So in the anime we actually know that Amato is the one who has done the modifications, so we know he's the genius of Kara. And we actually know too that he worked with Kashin Koji and Ao. I mean, I guess technically both, because Ao is Kashin Koji's outer. But they were the ones who used Genjutsu on Katasuke originally, so they basically stole his ideas and improved them. So that's gonna make up a lot of the Kara members now, so you gotta think about that when it comes to stuff like, I don't know what the hell happened to Code's head. I mean, I still say he's the best, but I don't know, he's got like a belt across his head. Ikimoto loves belts, so if you see any of these like these panels from the manga and you're not used to them, belts everywhere. Boruto, 2 belts. Kawaki, 3 belts. Kashin Koji, 12 belts. It's a big belt manga. So, anyways, to get back on track, basically, Amato's the one who's able to do that. And in the manga right now, we actually don't even know Amato. We've never seen him before. If we're not going to count the hooded meeting with Kara, which I'm not going to count that for anybody's like debut because they're really not there. Except for Jigen because his hood is off. The anime has a part where Delta and Kashin Koji actually speak about the Leaf Village being there. And that's not in the manga either. But basically Delta's just saying, you know, like, let's take care of the Leaf Village people because they're just seeing too much. And I can see why that's not in the manga, because she actually says the exact same thing later on in the episode. So she kind of says it twice. You know, I guess it's good because I feel like if they're not acknowledging it, it's just weird. Like, if they sat there and just didn't do anything, it'd be very strange. But it's good that they actually talked about it basically covered why they were just standing there doing nothing, because Kashin Koji loves standing there doing nothing. That's his favorite thing. Then we get to the part where Garo gets the best of Kawaki, slams him into the ground, blows him up, and he's like knocked out. And he picks him up, he like stabs through him with his giant like gun thing. And everyone in the Leaf's like, oh no, Konohamaru, your afro, it's not gonna do it. Boruto's like, oh my god, I'm gonna do something about this. And Konohamaru shuts him down right away. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, the situation is way too dangerous. But like, as he goes to say this to Naruto and say like, or Naruto, wow. As he goes to say it to Boruto, he's like, the mission has become an S rank now. There's no more screwing around. Garo fires off a blast at them and he jumps up and slices it in half with like the Osmo blades, which was pretty sick. And I'm glad he got that, because as far as the manga goes, Konohamaru hasn't really had too many feats. I think even in the anime, his feats have been pretty low too. And I think for a character that everybody really liked, I think everybody kind of liked him in Chpater. I mean, maybe he could be a bit annoying, but I loved when we saw the last couple episodes of the anime where he was like a little more grown up. And everybody was hoping big things for him, obviously. You know, he was Naruto's rival, wanted to be the Hokage as well, so I feel like it was nice to see him get a little more in the episode versus in the manga, where he's kind of just saying it's S rank, like, be careful. And then later on he's going to go get saved by Boruto. So I like this because he got to shine a little bit, and I want the other characters to shine, unlike how Shippuden just became, like, Sasuke Naruto heavy. But, after that, basically, the Delta and Kashin Koji are talking about how Garo's probably going to kill Kawaki, like, things looking bad for him. So Karma starts, like, building up his arm and then climbs up his face, and you can see that Boruto feels, like, this overwhelming sense of power as it's climbing over him, which is really cool, because in the manga, he's gripping his arm, like, trying to, like, stop it, but in the anime, he looks terrified, and I feel like that's really cool, because you can tell he feels like another presence in his body, and it's kind of taking him over a bit. And obviously we know that it's involved with Momoshiki, because even in the anime you get the flashbacks of Momoshiki that aren't in the manga as well. So the anime, again, somehow the anime watchers are in the know more than the manga readers at this point. So Garo, after he's distracted, Kawaki basically says, "You forget about me," blows his arm off, which is awesome. And then we get the huge panel I was talking about before, where Kawaki has got the full karma coming up the side of his body, just like in the very first episode and the very first chapter when they're grown up facing off. So he's basically got the full karma going, it looks like. And the shots that they did here, or I guess the drawings they did here in the manga, are just great. And I think the anime was really close to this one being good. Like, not that it wasn't good. They're really close to being on the same level that the manga was here, but the art in the manga here is just beautiful. Obviously, it's going to be on screen right here. I just think that's so clean. Just the way he's looking, his eyes, and of course the belts. You got to have the belts. So what I think the anime does really well for Garo in the fight is because they had that last episode where he got some backstory, he kind of felt a little more fleshed out, and you know he's like a piece of crap, so seeing him basically squirm and look so terrified is such a great scene to see, because he knows as soon as Kawaki blows off his arm and he sees like the full karma on him, he knows he is dead. Like, he knows it's over. He knows he is totally screwed, and he's basically he's got a full pair of pants, if you know what I'm saying. Garo shoots off a blast at Kawaki, which he's able to absorb, which I believe it's Mitsuki who mentions that Boruto was able to absorb the blast earlier when they were fighting against Ao. So now we basically know it's established that the karma can absorb jutsu. So that's a big important fact there. So basically, when Naruto fought Pain, or Jiraiya fought Pain, anybody fought Pain, or Sasuke even with the Rinnegan, it almost makes ninjutsu irrelevant. And the thing is, here with karma, it seems like it's going to be the same way, where you can't use ninjutsu against these people because they'll just absorb it right away. Even when they fought Momoshiki and he was able to suck in all the jutsu that Boruto had from the scientific ninja tool, it was like you're making a mistake using ninjutsu against them because they're just going to shoot it right back at you. And they haven't displayed that yet, so maybe they can't shoot it back, but they can definitely absorb it. And I don't know if that gives them more energy. I don't know if it's exactly been stated just yet. But basically, they just make your jutsu totally irrelevant. In the manga and in the anime, obviously Kawaki just struts right up to Garo, who's in total fear, and shoves a huge thing right through him. Konohamaru was like, "That's crazy! He killed him in one blow." But really, I mean, just blow off his arm. He did a lot more than just one blow. So I don't know. In the anime though, the amount of like karma shard, whatever you want to call it, that goes through Garo is massive. But in the manga, it's a little more contained. Obviously, I'll put the differences up on the screen for you. But in the anime, they're like, screw it, put a whole truck behind this guy. But in the manga, it's like person size. It's like another person back there. But as soon as he falls to his knees, Kawaki puts his hand over him and he's like, "I warned you. You're gonna lose more than your chin this time." And Garo begs for his life, and then he just blows them all to hell. Incredible to see the anime go all out and just be like, you know what? Screw it. Here it is. Blood, the guy's bottom half of his body, whatever. You know, that's how it's done. That's how we're gonna do it. And I love that because I feel like Boruto's been so toned down. I think you can see a lot of stuff online of people saying the same thing, where like, "Oh, Boruto's not violent. Oh, Boruto's not this, what that." This is gonna be a good point to when you want to say that the violence in Boruto is on par with Naruto, and that's just an awesome scene. The explosion they did in the anime too was beautiful. It's not as big in the manga, obviously, because that would be a lot to draw, so they didn't. In the anime, Kashin Koji, seeing what Kawaki does, mentions that he's reached stage 3 of the karma. That's not found in the manga at all. So I'm not sure what stage 3 is. I would assume it's the point where he's at, obviously, with the black going over his eye. And maybe there'll be different stages above that, possibly, or below it. I mean, obviously, there's the one below it where you just have it on your hand. Like, the palm of your hand, and then the one where you have it on your arm. So that maybe hand, stage 1, arm, stage 2, up to your face is stage 3. Hopefully there's more stages. If not, I mean, I guess I don't know. But just have to wait and see for that. But it was interesting that he said that. That's definitely something that's going to be followed through with the manga as well, since this whole episode is canon. So anything that happened here will be carried over into the manga if it wasn't already touched on. We get this big close-up on Kashin Koji after he says that, and he mentions that, Boruto seems like a capable ninja as well, or capable of using the karma as well. And you can see this red line under his eye. So, I mean, they spent all that time making him seem like he was Jiraiya. He used the Rasengan, he summoned a frog, and now he's got the red eye and the white hair. So, they're definitely really trying to push that this is Jiraiya. It could be like one of those things where they basically just try to bait you into something. So, I gotta tell you, I'm very interested to see. I remember reading through the manga, and as soon as he appeared, I was like, I gotta know who this guy is. I love the mask. I just love the character, honestly. It's funny that he just stands there right now, and I love it, but the mystery behind him, and if you had seen my other episode, I talked about how in the manga, there's no backstory reason for why he kills Victor. He just kills Victor. And I think that adds such a level of mystique to the character that the anime's kind of toyed with a little bit too much. I don't want to know too much about him. I want everything a little bit secretive, and you can kind of give it to me as the series goes along. I think the anime and the manga do a good job of basically saying that Delta is really strong, because she just looks at Kashin Koji and goes, "All right, like, do you want me to kill the Leaf Ninja?" There's 3 of the strongest genin the Leaf has ever had right there. I mean, Boruto literally has the karma, and she saw that he's capable of using it. Mitsuki has Sage Mode, which obviously she doesn't know. Sarada's pretty good in her own right. And then they have Konohamaru, who's right now he's exhausted. But she thinks for sure she could just kill all of them without any sort of hassle. So that does say a lot about how strong she might be in the future. And then basically in the anime they like stick with Kara for a while, and then Kara disappears. But in the manga it's actually switching in between Team 7 talking, and Kawaki talking, and Delta talking, and Kashin Koji talking. So it's bouncing around in the manga a bit, where the anime was like, let's wrap this up. They teleport out of there. Once Kawaki overheats, and Katasuki is able to check him out, he's talking to Mitsuki and Boruto and Sarada just about like how his body is and how incredible it is and how it's like perfect. Mitsuki mentions, is it like me, like a organic ninja? To which in the manga, Boruto and Sarada have no idea that he is a clone of Orochimaru. So they freak out and they're like, what? Even Sarada even says, like, my head is starting to hurt from all this stuff I'm learning today. And I feel like that was missed in the anime, but obviously with so many episodes, they had to have known Mitsuki's backstory by now versus 24 chapters, you know. In the manga, you do get the backstory with Orochimaru and Mitsuki, so the viewers know that. And then that's really going to be it. This episode was very to the manga. It was like they filled in the gaps they needed to space out the episode. And I gotta say again, the animation in this episode was just beautiful. I would be sitting in my seat with anticipation at 4 a.m. every Sunday morning waiting to see this episode as it goes live. If this is what I look like every time. Because it was amazing. And then we get the big shot to end the episode, which is basically everybody standing over Kawaki, and Boruto says, let's just get him back to the village, to my dad. And you get this sick, badass shot of Naruto. And you're like, God damn, he's a beast. And then they just kill it with the preview because he looks like shit again. But for that 1 second there, and then in the panel as well, which I'll show on the screen, he looks like a monster. Like, you're like, all right, we're getting Naruto involved. Like, this is real now. And for the manga, that really hasn't happened yet. I mean, in the anime, he's been quite involved, but in the manga, they've stayed away from Naruto getting involved in, like, affairs and stuff like that. So this is it. Like, they have called in the god himself. So, well, really, I'm excited to see how the anime adapts to upcoming episodes and stuff like that. If you guys did enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments down below. Since this channel is brand new, I can't even find myself in the search bar, and I can't find my videos when I search for them either, so I could literally use all the help I can get. Alright, so that wraps everything up. Thanks for watching. Bye.